Alrighty, guys, of all the shows after James Gunn's initial 2023 DCU slate announcement, of all the shows that we thought we would have gotten by now, including the Amanda Waller TV show or the Booster Gold show, did anyone expect a Jimmy Olsen Gorilla Grodd show to be one of the next ones up in development? Because, well, we're here to talk about, on the Access Blockbusters Pod, the upcoming DCU, this is not a joke, Jimmy Olsen Gorilla Grodd show. Now, I say this in jest because the concept seems kind of ridiculous. We'll talk about the concept and actually why I think the concept is a good idea, but also some of my hesitations for this show idea. But we just got an announcement, or not an announcement, but a confirmation from Variety, one of these sources in Hollywood that is almost always accurate and we should generally take to the bank, confirming that this show is going to take place. Now, a while ago, there were some scoopers and leaks and some reports that said that there was a Jimmy Olsen show in development. At the time, though, it seemed like it was going to be a Jimmy Olsen Mr. Terrific show, or that there were two separate shows being developed. So maybe there is still a Mr. Terrific show, or maybe Mr. Terrific shows up in this show. But it looks like the direction that they decided to go in is a kind of mockumentary office-style TV show. And the title of it is interesting, and the concept of it is rather interesting. So this show is going to be called DC Crime. Again, we're going to be reading from the Variety article. First of all, though, I have to say, because when I saw this, I was like, is this a working title? Because if you type in DC Crime into Google, I mean, again, we're not a show that talks about politics all that much, but you do get a lot of current day news about Washington, D.C. and crime. So yeah, I mean, a little unfortunate title. I wonder if this is actually the final title. Also, because it's not like, I mean, I'm sure, we got Marvel Zombies, I guess, but no, Marvel has never done like Marvel Street Wars or something where it's, Daredevil and stuff like that. It's just, the Defenders or whatnot. So kind of an interesting title. Not a title that I would keep necessarily, but if James Gunn likes DC Crime, then he likes DC Crime. So yeah, this is from Variety. I'm just going to read through some of the article here, and then we'll talk a bit on the other side. So DC Studios and HBO Max are developing a fictional true crime series set in the DC universe. Titled DC Crime, the show would be presented as a true crime docuseries. It would be hosted by Jimmy Olsen, played by Skylar Gisondo. The first season would focus on Gorilla Grodd, a DC villain best known for his battles with the Flash. And then we have some staff and crew hirings as well. Tony Yacenda and Dan Peralt, I think, I'm probably butchered those names, would serve as writers, executive producers, and showrunners for the series. James Gunn and Peter Safran of DC Studios would also executive produce, with DC Studios Galen Weisman, I think, overseeing production. Warner Brothers Television is the studio, which, of course, they're the owners of DC Studios so far, before they get sold at the very least. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. There's some stuff about the background of the new showrunners and the writers and things like that in this article, but that's pretty much it for the big confirmations. So, a couple thoughts. Like I said earlier, I have a couple thoughts about this. Number one, I actually think the concept is kind of cute. And cute is a funny word when you're talking about Gorilla Grodd. Gorilla Grodd is a sort of superhuman, super intelligent ape creature that is, as they mentioned, a villain of the Flash. Makes me wonder if the Flash will make his debut in DC Crime. Kind of an odd place to make his debut, but whatever, maybe that's the case. But Gorilla Grodd, big kind of menacing villain. And James Gunn has said so much that he loves Gorilla Grodd, right? So this is a way to introduce the character. I think we got hints of Gorilla Grodd, I think, in Creature Commandos as well, in some of those vision scenes. So that makes sense as well. But again, I don't mind the concept. I actually think it's kind of a quirky but fun way to explore the DC universe. Almost in a way, I almost wish Marvel did something like this too, where you just get the street level view of what's going on with the Avengers, what's going on in the world as the president turns into a Red Hulk and things like that. Miss Marvel kind of was like that, where you saw a normal teenager and her views on what was going on in the world, but, not as much. So I think that from the view of Jimmy Olsen, who is just a regular Daily Planet reporter who happens to have connections with Superman, obviously, not that he knows that, I think that this makes sense, and it would be interesting. And I like the docuseries style that they're going for. I like all of that stuff. I think that is interesting. So on the one hand, I actually like the concept quite a bit. And if they say that this is the first season, and maybe in future seasons they could do a true crime season on the Joker, I mean, it could be really interesting. So there's that. On the other hand, DC, and not just DC, Marvel too, they are not in a position where they have unlimited real estate. I think Marvel just recently has learned this lesson. You can't just make 50 television shows over the span of 5 years. You just can't do it. It's oversaturation. It lowers the quality because you just don't have the best minds on these shows. You can't have the best resources dedicated to every single one of these shows. And some of them are not going to be good. It's just how it works. The more quantity you have in a condensed period of time, it's just harder to control the quality. And so, and James Gunn knows this. He said he wants to do something like 2 movies and a show a year. Two movies, a show, an animated show or movie or something like that a year. And I just have some hesitations and trepidations with, in 2028, your 2 movies are Superman 2, which actually it is, Man of Tomorrow. Yeah, let's just go way in the future. Let's just say 2029. Your 2 movies are Swamp Thing, I don't know, The Authority, and DC Crime. And it's like, yeah, I'm sure maybe all of those projects are going to be great, but I'm so excited for Lanterns. I really am. Lanterns is one of my most anticipated comic book properties of next year. I really am excited for Lanterns. I don't know if I would be chomping at the bit for a DC Crime season in 2029 or something like that. And I think that if you can make DC Crime as just sort of an auxiliary sort of sideshow, almost like a special presentation style sort of thing that Marvel was doing, I think that's fine, and I think it's fine. But if DC Crime is James Gunn's flagship show, that he wants to do, because this show screams James Gunn. I don't know if he's gonna, he's not gonna showrun or write it, but again, going with the theme that we talked about a few weeks ago of James Gunn, this is still his universe. It is very much his universe. Then I'm a little bit like, hey, well, this is great and all, but what about that Arkham series that James Gunn has recently revealed is canceled? That's fine if it didn't work, but would much rather want to see the storyline focused up and the quality focused up on characters that I think deserve attention, like Wonder Woman. Paradise Lost was another show that, like, if we're getting DC Crime, I think this is the crux of the issue. If we're getting DC Crime over Paradise Lost, again, barring the fact that they're working on both and Paradise Lost just isn't working and things like that, fine, that's fine. But if we're getting DC Crime over Paradise Lost or an Arkham series, I'm not saying DC Crime can't be good. I'm also saying I would much rather have those other shows, if that makes sense. Again, concepts are concepts, and execution, DC Crime might be the best comic book movie show or comic book property show ever made, and in that case, all on board. But I just think this is kind of an interesting issue, and I can't wait to see what comes of it. So guys, what do you think of this Jimmy Olsen Gorilla Grodd show, DC Crime? Are you excited for it, or are you a little bit hesitant like me? Let me know in the comments down below.